Alrighty, guys, we are live. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. We'll get going here in just a few moments. I'm somewhat prepared. Make sure my phone's off. Okay. Good to see everybody. What's up, Frank? Jamie, good to see you. Kristen, She Warrior. Hope you're having a good day at work. Anthony, good to see you, my friend. Says the defense will have a field day with all the lost evidence, but definitely think we have the right man in custody. Well, I mean, it sounds terrible. And words matter, right? The type of words that the defense uses when they file these motions. Let's see. The word that they selected was delete. So if you accidentally record over something, are you deleting it? Or was it recorded over? And I don't think they recorded over everything. I mean, they did over probably within those first few days at least 100 interviews. There's no way they recorded over all of that. So we're only going to get a one-sided story until we see this trial, and I don't think we ever will see a trial because once every card is played by the defense, then they're going to advise their client, like, "Hey, we need to go down another avenue here." But they still have plenty of tricks to play, and while they're creating this chaos, the prosecution's just they're sitting back. They're like, "Okay, the courtroom is going to be where we have it out at." So everything that you guys see right now up until a trial, if one ever happens, is all going to be pro Richard Allen being innocent, because that's the only voice that needs to speak right now, right? Kind of persuade public opinion a little bit. But there's no motivation for the prosecution to even to say anything, even if they have powerful information right now. They're going to show it in that courtroom. And I'm sure they have plenty of tricks up their sleeve as well. They better have found something at his home to tie him to the crime, or he might walk. Yeah. And even if they do find something at his home, he still might walk. You got what is it, chain of custody? You have the Constitution. You have protocol. So there's a lot of ways to fumble this ball here. Good to see you, Hathers. Horihito, 63. Patricia, what's up? Beth, always good to see you. Okay. So what you can expect from today's live stream, we're going to talk a lot about what Barb McDonald had to say the other day. I think it was it the anniversary of Abby and Libby? It might have been the 12th or the 13th. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the 13th. So we'll just focus on that one sentence she made about when they actually found the unspent bullet. We'll look at some information that Steve from True Crime Web sent me, a bunch of photos and his take on that. We'll look at some cases of wrongfully convicted folks being released after long periods of time. We're going to look at some cases of corrupt cops planting evidence, drugs, even evidence for a murder, and in one case using an informant to plant evidence. So we're just going to look at the fact that, hey, we know and we fully understand that this does happen. Corruption's everywhere. But because of the fact that these cases happened doesn't mean that it happened in Carroll County. Even if some of those folks who are involved in the Delphi case are corrupt themselves, doesn't mean that they have been corrupted and are part of this, some kind of cover up. So we're going to break that down. I'll give you my opinions on all of that. And throughout this whole live stream, we're going to compare these cases and see if there's any similarities to what's going on here with Richard Allen. For instance, there's a lot of talk about trouble surrounding the case even before the trial starts. So there's a similarity there for sure. Good to see you, Saska, Olivia. What's going on, Doris? Lynn, good to see you. Julianne. Howard Ams, hello. Wanda, what up? D, what up? Miss Smala, I couldn't really answer the poll. I think he's guilty, but I'm afraid law enforcement and prosecution have botched too much and he may walk. Yeah, he might. One of the things that I noticed that the Delphi case has in common with all of these cases we're going to see today is that there was trouble. A trouble ahead of these trials, especially the ones of the wrongfully convicted and falsely accused. That's one thing they all had in common. Even before the trial began, there was issues. But my question for you guys who are watching, do we have problems or just an illusion of problems, like manufactured by the defense team? And it really doesn't matter until we get to trial, right? Jamie, what's up? Thank you. Yeah, if you guys could hit that like button. Jody, good to see you. CJK, what up? I'm having a good day. Got some yard work in, a lot of personal stuff taken care of, and some more stuff I got to do later. So we're busy today. I like that. What's up, Gail? What's the new court papers released? I'm not sure. I'm going to do a video on how aggressive these RA trolls can be, y'all. Been a little busy, but it's coming. Well, look forward to it. Camaro, dang, I answered wrong on the question, LOL. Now's the time to clear it up. Man, I got horrible cotton mouth right now. What's up, Devoted? Tech Death in the building. What up? You find me a date sleuth? No, man, I'm still trying. Tech Death is single and he's on the prowl. Hit him up, ladies. Apparently he's into crazy girls. Those crazy, wild, out of control types. Rain Dancer, good to see you. Melanie Rose, good to see you. What up, Shadow? Thank you. Appreciate the comment. Hope you have a great day. Good afternoon, Connie. Looks like we have some gifts rolling around here. Just a mum is all. So she's gifting 1, 2, 3 memberships. Thank you. So Just a Mom is All will be sponsoring today's live stream along with my guy, Jerry. Where you been, man? Good to see you. Coming through with the super chat. Appreciate that. All righty. Who did I miss? Oh, Candace. What's up? Miranda. Phony Pen says Team McClelland. I like to call him Slick Nick with his hair all back and his I can't remember where we heard it, but apparently he has a license plate that says the boss. Find that interesting. Miss Mala, this is one of the most horrid things to happen in Delphi. Yeah, it really is. And garners world attention. It's shocking how careless Blaze they have been with evidence. I can see why some think it's on purpose. Yeah, they might just be idiots, right? Ill prepared. They can still F up this case and it not be corruption. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's a good story. Everything is there to tell the story of corruption and Freemasonry and, everything. The ingredients are there for a great story. But as far as any factual information, I haven't seen one piece. Everything is up for debate on that side. Tech says, I think prosecutors will fumble this anyway. I don't know. I think they're waiting patiently. I think they have a few tricks up their sleeve as well. And we'll see. What's up, Violet? Julia, welcome. It's definitely an uphill battle for the defense right now. They've got a lot to prove when they're spending their time trying to invalidate the prosecution. And I really don't think they have to. I think they just have to respond to what they're doing, right? If the prosecution didn't do any of those things, or excuse me, if the defense didn't do any of the things that they've been doing, the prosecution wouldn't have to respond. But it's all part of the game. This is what's supposed to happen. Um, Rosie and Baldwin are testing the infrastructure. They're looking for weaknesses in anything, how they collected evidence. Did they violate his rights? Where did they F up? How can we get him off on a technicality? So they're looking at every avenue here to get him out of there. Not because they believe he's innocent, but they're on the stage right now and they need to showcase, their skills and their talents. And I've said it a million times. I would hire those guys in a heartbeat. Good luck affording them after this. Shit, probably even before. Defense is misrepresenting facts and social media on purpose, in my opinion. Well, it's not on purpose. I mean, that's their job. They're doing their job. They're not surprising me. Yeah, I'm confused on the court stuff because I'm not a lawyer, you know? But all the other stuff is very clear. It's just manufactured. It's like going through a haunted house and like all these illusions, and it's not real. But once you get through the haunted house and out the back door, right, you're back to reality. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going through a haunted house. It's called the defense. The defense. No, what would we call it? Something the Odinist. Something, I don't know. You guys come up with something in the chat and I'll post it up here. It's got to be good though. What's up, Jennifer? Glad you did make it. 63 clocks. What is up? Miranda. Yeah, I appreciate that. That was nice of you. Be good to have some new faces in the members meeting today at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Be there or be square. Doris, I think there's more than one person involved. They've got Richard Allen, but do they have enough evidence to get a guilty verdict? It's scary. It's a scary thought that he could walk. It is, but it happens often. And then they gather more information and they recharge the person. But there's been times where similar situations like Richard Allen, they were just sure of it. You know, they had their guy. Even I think there was even some DNA somehow involved, and this person ends up getting convicted and then let go during an appeal because of new information or a new witness and proof that they actually weren't the killer. But without that small bit of information, you're like, man, I guarantee it's this guy. And that's how I'm looking at Richard Allen right now. But anything can happen, right? Anything could pop up to derail that. And I'm prepared for that and open to it. What's up, Nana? And your Gmail. All right, zip on down. What's up, Gail? Welcome in. Criminality, welcome in. Good to see you. And anybody else that I might have missed. Criminality says, I don't think Barb is right, but that is my opinion. I believe the bullet was found quickly. You know what? She might be right. The thing is, does it matter? I think is the question. Does it matter? What if it was found a year later? Right there, you know, in between where the girls would have been. Does that matter? I mean, honestly, how did it get there? You're going to try to convince a jury that law enforcement placed that bullet there? Or that Odinist planted it there after the fact? They're going to go back to the scene of the crime and plant a bullet? Okay, well, how did they get Richard Allen's bullet? So they broke into Richard Allen's home, cycled around, went back and planted it. Or law enforcement somehow got their hands on it, you know, sneak in when nobody's home and then go replace it in the evidence locker. Okay, why would they do that? So I guess the better question is, what if it was found a few days later? Does it matter? Just a question. What's going on, Violet? All right, I think no effects. What's up? Let's see what Jesse's talking about here. I don't think that Delphi expected this case to go worldwide like it has. Things like this happen often, sadly. Never your town until it is. Yeah, maybe they weren't prepared for this. Excuse me. Remember Doug Carter? Please be patient. Never have we been in front of anything like this before. Yeah, for sure. You can be easily persuaded, and that's what lawyers are good at. They're good at using certain words and to tap into your emotions, right? Triggers and things like that. Frank says, continuing to go through the Jordan Sofer case file. Yeah, big things are going on with the Jordan Sofer case, guys. We have begun the pressure campaign, so to speak. You're going to hear a lot more from Frank and I about that case. And maybe a few others too. I think we got a good little group of folks. Hey, what's up, V? There are ingredients of too many different stories, in my opinion. That's why I'm worried about the jury and reasonable doubt. We all know it's mostly bullshit, but does the jury? Exactly. And we can all say, hey, well, maybe they have more. You know, maybe he does have some, maybe Slick Nick does have some tricks up his sleeve or whatever. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe what you see is what you get. And they might be persuaded and they might not. But I think the argument for most folks in social media and in the public is From what we see, it's absolutely not enough. And I would agree. I would have to agree. Hiawatha. I remember long ago, a woman said she was at the crime scene a few days after the crime and said she found a bullet and called them. No, she didn't say she found a bullet. She said she found a bloody leaf. And they actually came and collected it. But I think that was some time after, like weeks. See, and it's little tidbits like that where people are trying to convince others. They kind of manipulate the facts, to kind of melt it into this mold. Oh, they won't mind if I take that out or if I stretch this or if I change this part. Miss Mala, the recorded confessions may hit it out the park. Defense will try to say it's because he was having a mental episode. But I'm hoping the confessions have some details only the killer would know. I think the point I'm trying to make is that the prosecution really could have a whole lot more. I mean, they could have tons, and it's not a surprise to the defense. They have it too, but they're not going to share it with the public. Remember, right now we're going through this haunted house until we get to that trial. But everything in this haunted house is a production from the defense team. Every little spooky little ghoul around the next corner, right? It's all look at the source. It's all manufactured from the defense side. People are taking it as fact. Um, so I'm just saying, just hang back. You know, you can walk around the haunted house and wait on the other end. And take photos of the people coming out the back end, all looking spooked. So we are in the basically everything you should expect to hear will be about why Richard Allen is innocent. Because all of the information that says he's guilty, the defense isn't going to share with us or the public or anybody, right? They're not motivated to do that. And we know that Slick Nick is not motivated. And I believe him when he says that he thinks others are involved. I believe him 100%. So he's doing his best not to mess that up, right? But he has no control over what the defense is doing. And right from the beginning, they didn't give a shit about any of that. They said, we're stepping on all of that. Either that or they weren't buying it, whatever the case might be. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these videos. We'll see if we might be dealing with something very similar or we're comparing apples and oranges. Let's see, which one should we start with? Oh, let's go with this one. It's titled Man Wrongfully Accused of Murder Spent 28 Years in Prison.
A day his family feared would never come.
Oh, hold on, guys. Going to reset my system. Hang tight. So don't panic. All righty.
A day his family feared would never come. Today, Jose Cruz is held tightly by his sister after leaving Stateville Prison, greeted by friends and relatives, including his cousin, who was his alibi years ago. Instead of believing his family, police and prosecutors believed the now disgraced former Chicago police detective Reynaldo Guevara.
Right? Look at this guy. So are we dealing with one of these type of characters?
Guevara.
Nobody wanted to believe us. But now, here we are. Do you believe us now?
Cruz was sentenced to 90 years for a murder conviction that was vacated Monday. Cruz is now 53. He spent more than 28 years in prison.
It's a happy moment. It's a happy moment. And there's nothing to be sad about. You know, I'm not angry. I forgive Guevara and everybody who did what they did to me.
I'm so happy that justice came. Obviously, it didn't come fast.
And I know there's people out there right now like, I wouldn't forgive anybody. Like, I would be out for blood.
It's enough for my grandmother to see this, and my grandfather, and my aunts and uncles that passed away.
They told me my father had cancer, and it was very difficult. And my brother also had cancer. It was very difficult. My mom passed was very difficult.
That's
also
horrible.
According to Cruz's attorney, there are more than 50 cases connected to Guevara, and so far about half have been thrown out. Guevara is retired.
Yeah, see, something like this just cannot happen in the Delphi case. And the images and the chaos and the atmosphere, I believe, is just all manufactured. So again, I ask you the questions: do we have problems in the Delphi case, or do we just have an illusion of problems? Now, these folks have some real problems here, right?
And has not been charged.
He's crafty in how he got people convicted, and now he's crafty how he's not going to get in trouble himself.
Eventually, Cruz hopes to have his conviction expunged. For now, Cruz went directly to his aunt's restaurant for Iberito, a Puerto Rican specialty. And later this week, he plans to be in court supporting inmates who are hoping their exoneration may be next.
Crazy. All right. So is that what we're dealing with? Some corrupt cops pinning it on an innocent man? I don't see that. That's not what I'm seeing right now. To me, whether or not they found that bullet a few days later, I don't think that, why would it matter? To say that somebody planted it there, the implication of that is like, it's a bigger conspiracy than the Delphi case itself. It's like a whole nother crime that you have no information and no factual information to back up, right? So it's good in the social media realm. You know, it sounds good for clicks and all of that, but think about it. Whoever planted that bullet would have had to have gotten it from Richard Allen's gun, because they're going to prove that it went through his gun no matter what. And another question is, why didn't the defense mention that in the memo? They talked a lot about the bullet, but they never talked about when it was found, just how it was recovered. Yeah, we're going to play a little devil's advocate today, I think. Because it's not that we're ignorant over here, right? Like, oh, we back the police. We don't back anybody. We're trying to deal with the facts. And we know the truth could be hiding anywhere. And some things that are once thought to be nothing could turn into facts. And things we thought were factual turn out to be lies or nothing. Wise men become fools. And that could be in that we can be looking in the mirror, you know. Good to see you, Ruckus. What is up? Don, what is going on, my friend? Hey, Sleuth and crew, driving and listening. Eyes on the road. When I say, hey, guys, look at this, that doesn't include you, Don. Unless you're at a red light. Then it's all good. Just don't get in trouble. Candace. So shout out to Just a Mum Is All. So if you got a membership, that's where you got it. So she sponsored today's live stream by hooking you up. My guy Jerry and Phony Pen. Mother of Dragons, what's up? Let's go to Anthony France. Sleuth, and he's local there to Indiana. Ricky would have had a long way to walk back to his car if he planned to kill the girls. Yeah, that's what he wanted. A nice long walk away from the crime scene where my car is nowhere near and I could sneak in and try to sneak out. Doris, yep, corruption is everywhere, in every field. Good to see you, Boston. Shane. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, man, that's probably the best thing he's ever had. That's funny that you said that. I was like, yeah, good. Go get your grub on, bro. Get your grub on. Jamie Hicks says Ricky wasn't smart. He wasn't wicked smart. Underestimated since day one is what Ricky's saying. Now look at me now. I'm the Delphi killer. That's what he's thinking. Violet, I'm not sure about that because Richard Allen is the bridge guy. I mean, how are you going to be 100% certain? Been working on that image for a long time and I'm still not like 100%. Never seen anything as close as Richard Allen. That's for damn sure. And that's by far. Later, Miranda. Catch you later. Jerry says, sleuth intuition. I took a little time away from the case. I got sick of the attorney's bullshit. Yeah, and really, like I said, it's just the haunted house, right? All these characters, and hey, be careful around this next corner. I hear a chainsaw. And then sure enough, something grabs you over here from your ankle, and it's something stupid. But it doesn't matter because none of the facts about the case are being shown or being discussed. It's all just nonsense. Like, oh, they did this. Well, we want this, and you didn't do that. Well, you're doing this, and well, they're lying about this, and it doesn't matter. You know? The Thunderdome. All right, let's go to another video here. Let's see. Here's some of the titles. 3 people accuse Boston City Sheriff's Office of contracting an informant to plant evidence on people they don't like. That's disgusting. Officer arrested for planting evidence. This one is really interesting. We'll go to that one. This fool's a fucking idiot.
Florida Sheriff's deputy is behind bars, accused of making bogus drug arrests. Former Martin County Deputy Stephen.
Can you guys hear that? I just want to get a verification on that because I had to restart my system. Hey, good to see you, Deb. Welcome in. I think I missed you, Gail. Let's go to a comment by Julia. Devil's advocate. What if someone knew Richard Allen was at the bridge, like a Doolin, right? And target him. Hey, was at the bridge that day, some way had access to his guns, a Doolin. You know, hey, we got that Richard Allen guy. We could pin it on him. Bullets decided to act out some IRL Scooby-Doo villain and slither back in the night to plan it. Yeah. But see, that's like a whole Hollywood. That's what they're trying to say happened. Exactly. And it sounds, you know, you can see it happening in your mind. You know, you're eating your popcorn and you got your Raisinets, you know, you're popping them, some Sour Patch Kids or whatever. Your floor's all sticky. Like, what the fuck is that? Right? It's because the tragedy that happened in Delphi, it's just so hard to imagine that it's somebody like a Richard Allen. And that I'm actually working on a video. It's called Little Monsters. So you guys can look forward to that. It should be ready in about a week. You know, so you want the perpetrator of this tragedy to match how awful it was. And Richard Allen just doesn't fit that bill. And it's hard for some to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow. Gail says, Don Spain, look up Ron Logan's alibi. At the end of a Fox newscast, it gives evidence Ron Logan was at Americus that day. Yeah, we know Ron Logan's timeline. We have it down. We don't have to assume. We know for a fact where and when and what Ron was doing. All right, let's take a look here. Just want to make sure I'm getting everybody. Now, Hather says, I shop in Delphi frequently. They still have the flyers up and the picture of young bridge guy is still in the ballpark. At least it was the last time I was over there. What's up, Jumpin'? To get to the truth, you have to turn over all stones, not just ones you're tripping over. Yeah, and we talk about that all the time. Scratching the surface, right? And the thing about social media and armchair sleuthing and online sleuthing is a lot of it's just the surface, right? Grunt work. I'm sure if law enforcement had 100 random folks at their disposal, you know, and an endless budget, they would have people scouring online for clues and chasing down rabbit holes, but they don't have the resources for that. So I think that's where social media comes in. They do a lot of the grunt work. But if you're looking for any real answers, you have to go beneath the surface. You have to at least scratch it. You know what I mean? Instead of chasing every little, you know, like a cat. You know, everything that kind of wiggles. Devota says, Rick told us he was BG, so I'll take that from the horse's mouth. But we haven't read the transcripts. You know? We don't know what kind of confession it was.
What? At what point did you shoot the clerk?
I shot the clerk.
Yes, when did you shoot him? Yes, when did you shoot him?
I shot the clerk.
Hey, Dean, you need you. Hey, Dean, you need you.
Well, that was 2 confessions right there. Or was it 3? Yeah, that was 3 right there. I shot the clerk. Yeah, that's a good point. Anthony says, let's find out what Sergeant Riley heard on that recording from one of the girls. Thank you, Sparky. All right, let's continue.
Florida Sheriff's deputy is behind bars accused of making bogus drug arrests. Former Martin County Deputy Stephen O'Leary was charged with 52 counts. Prosecutors say he planted drugs or fake drugs on unsuspecting motorists.
Fuck this
Fire
guy.
Jackson County Deputy Zachary Wester faces 9 counts of false imprisonment along with other charges. As Mike Vasalinda found out, the arrests have been costly for those wrongly accused.
Would you concede to it?
Teresa Odom was adamant when a deputy told her drugs were found in her car.
That is not mine.
A diligent
so messed
prosecutor
up.
scrutinizing body cam video of the
Look at
Odom
that
search
shit.
found Deputy Zach Wester clearly manipulating a white packet. Wester was arrested July 10th. 18 months after her arrest, Teresa Odom is still struggling to recover.
He just kidnapped that woman. He kidnapped a woman right off the street.
She texted us she was afraid of tainting the jury pool, so she put us in touch with her ex-husband.
Right now, she is suffering. She doesn't hardly sleep. She doesn't hardly eat.
All right, doesn't that sound familiar? Let me run that back. Is that poor Richard Allen too?
She doesn't hardly sleep. She doesn't hardly eat. This thing is consuming her.
Steve says Teresa's home's been broken into twice with things left, not taken, in what he believes is an effort to intimidate her.
Something like this is going to taint her and follow her the rest of her life. There's periods of time when she could not see the grandbaby, and she lives for her grandbaby.
Yeah, that's
Deputies
messed up.
here in Jackson County who couldn't go on camera for obvious reasons tell us every day they feel that they've gotten a black eye. Here in Jackson County, 119 cases were dismissed involving Zach Wester. The arrest of former Martin County Deputy Stephen O'Leary Monday has tainted at least 14 cases. Steve asks an important question.
What price do you put on a life that is ruined?
And the courts may be the one to answer.
Okay, so is that what we're dealing with here? We watching Carroll County ruin a man's life or not? I don't think so. Just because there's corruption in this case doesn't mean there's corruption in the Delphi case, right? And how do you find legal justice without law enforcement, without investigations, and without the court process? How do you get legal justice for Abby and Libby, or for Richard Allen for that matter? You can't have anarchy. That's the only alternative. So they need to do better to prevent shit like this, because we can't do anything without these folks. And there's corruption in everything. You could go to a hospital. You got doctors who are killing patients, nurses who are killing patients. You know, it's just the human nature. They just need to do better to try to prevent it, if that's even possible. I mean, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's like, I'm going to ruin this woman's life, and he doesn't give a shit about it. All because he wanted to be on the narcotics division. So the question is that what we're looking at with Delphi? I don't see any comparisons. But at least when it comes to factual information, right? Full of hate. I feel really confused about who's guilty. We need to see the evidence real soon because something ain't right. But what's not right? What do you expect to be right in the defense team's haunted house? I mean, are you going in there expecting it to be chill? Like a hookah lounge or something? That's all you're seeing. It's dark and spooky hallways, right? You're like, oh, okay, I think it's the end. Nope. Bang! Somebody jumps out. You know, it's Baldwin in like a clown mask. Woo! Of course, everything's going to be in there all tipsy, topsy-turvy, and ski-wampus, right? And everything. Richard Allen's innocent. Richard Allen's innocent. Because any and everything that's out there involving this case, the prosecution has no motivation to go public with it. And if it's incriminating for Richard Allen, why the hell would his defense team mention it to us? So that's why we're in the haunted house. Everything is Richard Allen is innocent, and it's all topsy-turvy. Stefan, shout out to Germany. 8:45. Good time for a live. All right. Cheers, my friend. Yeah, we have a members live later today at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so we'll be chilling. Well, it's upgraded members anyway. Be a quick little round table. Shout out to Sparky. Thank you, Sparky. Thank you guys for sponsoring today's live stream. Appreciate it. Sparger. Why, if they didn't they do a search of, let's say, 75 miles for anyone who had a 40 cal gun and go check them from the beginning? Well, I think there's legal ramifications for that. To me, that reminds me of the question about the cell phones, right? Why can't they just take all of those cell phone identifying IDs and find out who they belong to, right? You can obviously see the killer is right there amongst everybody else. You can see this group of cell phones moving around. You know it's the killers. Well, you can't just go and violate somebody's rights and be like, oh, well, you know, no, we're just going to go ahead and find out who this is without having a search warrant. Because you'd have to go through company. I don't know. There's a whole thing you got to do to make that happen. And you can't just do it on a whim. But you can see everything that's going on. You just can't see who those people are. You don't know the details of, you can just see the signal and where it's going and where it was and if it was near the crime scene, but you just don't know who it belongs to. Especially if it's a burner phone, right? What's up, Stephanie? What do you mean, Sally? Hey, what up, Vic? And corruption doesn't mean he's innocent either. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And it goes, that same thing goes for the so-called suspects, right? This doesn't have to be a ritualistic killing for the perpetrators to be part of some Odinistic cult. What if they didn't leave runes, but they're still part of some cult, right? Or what if it was a sacrifice, but it has nothing to do with Odinism or anything like that? What if it was a Wiccan ritual? Take care, Jerry. Thanks again for sponsoring today's show. Appreciate it. Now, Marbles brings up a good point also. There are a lot of other sketchy people they could have set up, really. But Richard Allen, maybe he was the perfect candidate. You know, he was there around the time of the killings. He can't deny it, no matter what. But why wait 7 years? You know, why wait 6.5 years? Why not plant the bullet and then the next day be like, oh, look what we found. Let's test it. Let's test it against that guy who was here that looks like the bridge guy, you know, and then they would have arrested him and we would have been right where we are now 7 years ago. Full of Hate says, what bothers me is why does the defense want the public to see the crime scene photos? It must be important. Well, because they're trying to tell a story and they don't give a shit about protecting that case. Everything is about their client. What can we do to benefit him? They don't care about the victims. They don't care about the victims' families. That is not why they're there. Personally, I'm sure they care. You know, personally, it's got to be tough to be a defense lawyer. I'm going to say that right now. You have to ignore a lot of your morals and you have to be a super competitive person to kind of want that victory over this guy's potential actual guilt, right? You have to kind of block a lot of things out. There's a certain type of person, and you know, it's like they have a calling, I guess. I don't know. Strange job to be a defense attorney. That's all I'm going to say. Very strange. Okay. Let's kind of switch it up a little bit. Wrongly convicted Lowell man awarded $13 million. Damn.
Receiving a record-setting settlement after he spent more than 3 decades behind bars for a crime he did not commit. WBZ's David Wade is back here in studio with the story. And David, this might be the biggest wrongful conviction settlement in New England history.
Yeah, Paula, Victor Rosario was awarded $13 million. And here's why. Back in 1982, Rosario was arrested and convicted for arson and murder in a fire that killed 8 people, including 5 children.
Oh, and don't forget, this is the guy who ran in, right? He ran into the home and tried to save these folks. So they convicted the hero. So not only was he wrongfully convicted, he was actually a hero.
Well, in 2014, Rosario's murder and arson convictions were tossed out. The appeals court was concerned that his confession wasn't voluntary. Rosario was released from prison when the DA decided not to retry the case. Today, Rosario reflected on those decades he spent behind bars, time he will never get back.
Today, this chapter is ending and a new chapter begins for me. Nothing can ever compensate for those years taken from me, and I ask the criminal justice system, the universities, prepare lawyers, prosecutors, and investigators to do their very best to not let what happened to me be the future of one more wrongfully convicted individuals.
Okay. So I will have to admit, with everything that we do know, right? What everything that's been made public is not enough. I think we can all agree on that. It is not enough. So on the flip side to that, we say, okay, well, that's just my opinion. What does the jury think? Does Nicholas have more? Does the defense have more? Is Richard Allen really just preparing to confess and he was part of the ritual? You know, was he part of this group? And everything can be true, right? You could have Anthony Schatz being part of the targeting of it, Richard Allen being part of the kidnapping and getting them to the actual crime scene. So yeah, it could be a group of folks all motivated by their own evil purposes. But none of the evidence points to anything like that. It just points to one man, possibly a few others may be involved. Not quite sure what that means. And people just are struggling with it because it doesn't match the tragedy. You know, Richard Allen, they just can't see it. And I think he spent a lot of his time, if he is guilty, of enjoying that, mastering that, right? The Jedi mind trick. I'm not here. You know, I'm the little guy. But what is he now? He's the Delphi killer. He was trying to get some kind of power back. And if he is guilty, he has zero remorse. Zero remorse. And I think that tells us a lot too, if he's a guilty man. If he's a guilty man. And with what they have out there, it's not enough. But I'm banking that we have a confidential informant that will be revealed, somehow being held back under their own version of a technicality, right? And I'm talking about the prosecution side. Because if you consider the source, Richard Allen's defense team, that's where all of the Odinism stuff is coming from. They don't need any factual information. You know? Oh, Elvis Fields is the bridge guy now. Okay. Was he in Delphi that day? I don't know. But he's the bridge guy. That's how the story makes sense. Because it can't be Patrick Westphal. He's super tall. Who else could it be? Well, it can't be Brad Holder. Because he's kind of tall and he's got a really big fluffy beard. Well, who could it be then? Well, it can't be that Messer guy. Oh, it's Elvis Fields. It's the bridge guy. You know, shit, maybe he is. But there's nothing. He's not there. He's not on the trails. How are you going to say he's the bridge guy when you can't even put him in Delphi? We couldn't even connect him with Patrick Westphal. if from what we can see, we don't know if he's telling the truth, but I haven't seen anybody come forward and say, look, here's the connection between Patrick Westfall and Elvis Fields. So not only can you not connect all of these people that they've named, you can't put them together in Delphi or even near, other than the person who lives there, right? So they got an uphill battle, and they don't have to prove any of that, because right now we're in the haunted house where anything goes. There's no truth in there. It's all chaos. Anthony says, I admire Carrie. When I saw that video where she says, have you seen her background? Oh, yeah, you're talking about Tobe Lesenby. That was shocking. Then you can see Hannah wanted to reach out and like kind of, I don't know, like rip his face off maybe. Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah. So that kind of leans to like, we might be dealing with the corrupt son of a bitch, or somebody who's like, no, like, have you seen her history? Like, thinking about Libby and a lot of information that we might not be privy to. But man, that hit me right in the stomach. It's like, how could you say that? And also Doug too, whenever he would mention anything at a presser, he never mentioned Carrie. I wonder what that was all about. I never got that. It was everybody else, and then at the end he would say, and the family. And the rest of the family. Never said Carrie's name. Sally, you are assuming a lot too. Prosecutors also want to win. Well, yeah, they want to win, but they don't have the luxury of not having facts. They can't go in there and say, "Oh, it was the Odinites that did it." Okay, well, how? I don't know. Sounds good. And didn't you see the crime scene? They left ruins. And then this creepy guy Elvis, he confessed. And even though we don't have his DNA, we took a lie detector test from his sister who he confessed to. Well, the truth is false confessions happen all the time. And I don't know how many times I got to tell the story, but we had a guy who came into a Delphi Facebook group and confessed to the crime. He was there for 2 hours communicating with everybody, talking about how he did it and how he's the killer. So I don't doubt that Elvis Fields' sister was lying. I'm sure he said that to her. And I don't think that Brad Holder's ex-girlfriend or wife, this Amber person, is lying either. I don't know why people do the things they do. Why would they, maybe they were drunk, trying to sound scary, trying to seem important. It's one of the worst crimes in Indiana history, and you're trying to attach yourself to it, right? And some big conspiracy, right? Just like a lot of these content creators, it's because it's just something to grab a hold onto. It's very entertaining. All right, let's go to another video here.
Less than a month, video shows Baltimore police officers allegedly planting evidence. Newly released body camera footage apparently shows officers placing drugs in a car. The alleged incident happened during an arrest in November. Officers were searching the car after witnessing what they said looked like a drug deal. Jeff Pegues is in Washington with what a defense lawyer says the cameras captured. Jeff, good morning.
Good morning. The officers are accused of manufacturing evidence, and the public defender's office says that all you have to really do is look at the police body camera video to see it.
What are you stopping us for? What you mean step up? What are you stopping us for?
Body cameras were rolling during a traffic stop last November. The video shows Baltimore police
The look in that guy's eyes, he's like, these guys are about to set me up.
officers searching a car for drugs. As one of the suspects is arrested, He accuses the officers of harassing him for days.
You crooked. You set up. That's what you do.
According to the
So you
public
set
defender's
motherfuckers
office,
up,
the
that's what you
officers
do.
found nothing in the car until turning their body cameras off. When the cameras came back on and off,
Yeah, what's this guy doing right here? This is the point where this guy turned off his body camera. He doesn't realize somebody else's body camera is right on him. Or maybe they do, and they just know you can't see anything.
officer is seen squatting by the driver's side of the suspect's car.
Light into this
apparently
camera.
Unaware that he's being recorded. He then stands up and steps back. About 30 seconds pass, another officer approaches the car.
Did anybody check this good one?
That officer then squats down and pulls out a bag of drugs.
Frankly, when it's your word against the police, it's quite an uphill climb for a lot of people in Baltimore City.
Attorney Joshua Inslee says the footage absolves his client Shamira Collins, who was facing drug charges after the incident.
She didn't think anybody would believe her, but the cameras were all rolling, and she ended up being vindicated.
The Baltimore police said in a statement, anytime an allegation of misconduct is made against an officer, they take it seriously and investigate it fully. This is the second time in recent weeks Baltimore officers have been accused of planting evidence. Body camera footage released about 2 weeks ago involving different Baltimore police officers allegedly shows drugs being planted in a backyard. The investigation into that incident is ongoing. The case against Inslee's.
Okay. So in a lot of these cases, I guess the only thing that doesn't really match up is they were targeting these folks. Like there were certain folks that they were targeting. They would plant narcotics on certain people. Why Richard Allen? Would they target him? I mean, I could see why. If there was some grand conspiracy, right? He was there that day. He was on the bridge. We got him on film. And then they also want to talk about how they photoshopped or recreated the photo of Abby on the bridge and possibly the bridge guy, right? So yeah, they got him on the bridge, but it's some photoshopped video, and he's really not kidnapping the girls, So during a trial, they're going to show the full video. They're not going to show what they presented to us. So the defense attorneys are a lot like YouTube content creators. They're not held to the same standards as a prosecutor who has to bring factual information. And if they can't back it up, that's it. They're not there to create doubt. They're there to create proof. All right, let me see if I have any more here. Well, because of time, let's just go to this quick little Barb McDonald quote. I didn't realize we're at the hour mark.
He did secure that crime scene for about 3 days, and they searched it, and then they cleared it for about a day, day and a half, and then they re-secured it. My understanding is that unspent shell was discovered during that second search after the scene had been.
Okay, now why the hell would she know, right? She says, it's my understanding. She's not part of the investigative team. What Barbara McDonald says is not factual information. She's telling you her opinion. So I'm going to skip a lot of comments. If I missed you, I'm sorry, but I want to get your guys' opinion on this before we get out of here. Good to see you, BN Mama. Farmer, what's up? I don't get how he puts himself there. Dolan's interview and then cross corroborates 3 witnesses. That's the part that gets me, right? We don't need to recognize Richard Allen in that. The witnesses, all they have to say is the guy that's in that video is the guy that we seen. And Richard Allen has already said, well, I'm the guy that they seen. Julie, I don't believe that is what happened. That was just my... yeah, of course. Yeah, we're playing a little bit of devil's advocate. And I don't see a whole lot of similarities. I can see the story, right? Oh, they came back a few days after, after Richard Allen came forward. He comes forward on the 15th and says, "Yeah, I was there that day. I didn't see anything. I saw those girls." And then boom, he becomes a mark. The only question is, how did they get his bullet? Why didn't they arrest him right away? It's just all so sensational, right? Great movie script. We got a flex, 3-month flex by Shadow. Humor on point today, Sleuth. It's a good listen. Thank you, Shadow. Yeah, this is basically our 5-10 minute warning here, guys. And I'm going to be kind of all over the place. Good to see you. Sees through. Patricia, what's up? So they set him up 5 years before an arrest. Nope. Well, what if they waited to make it seem more realistic? Like, we're going to go ahead and serve these search warrants. We're going to ask them if they have a 40 caliber weapon. We know Richard Allen's not going anywhere. He's right there, hiding in plain sight. But really, the whole time, they just plan to arrest him right before a political election, right? Like, it all lines up. The only problem is there's zero facts to back it up. I mean, not one. You can quote the leaked defense memorandum all you want, but it's definitely not facts. Any piece of information that we can hold that's tangible, that we can hold up and compare to their description of it, it is completely way off. It's almost a bold-faced lie in most cases. At the very least, an embellishment. BN Mama with the 23-month flex. I still believe there's no way TK and RA weren't buddies. Haven't been able to prove it. A lot of hearsay about that. So shout out to BN. Hey, Tom, welcome back, my friend. Just in. What was recorded over? Well, so I believe the first week of interviews, I don't know if it was all of them. I don't know what. The thing is, you have to consider the source. The source of information is the defense, right? This piece of information is inside this haunted house. It's been warped. What is it? The mirrors, those weird mirrors where you look all short and fat. There's a lot of that going on. The types of words they're selecting, instead of saying critical evidence lost, they don't use the word lost because it seems innocent that way. They use deleted, right? So it becomes nefarious. So I'm really just not paying attention to any of it. I'm considering the source, and the source is the defense team, and they're doing what I would expect them to do if I was in Richard Allen's shoes. But I also expect them to eventually say, "Hey, bud, as your attorney, I advise you to take this deal." All right, let's find a couple more. Hey, what's up, Digi? If the bullet is legit, they should have dated digital data of microscopic images taken from when the bullet was compared to the Weber Maxwell. Yes, I agree with that, Digital. And I think this is going to be a big part of the case. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate that. Justice for Abby and Libby. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think they're going to use that in court. Honestly, Digital. They're going to be like, well, look, we served a couple search warrants. We served this one here on Bicycle Bridge Road, Mr. Maxwell, and he had a 40 caliber firearm. And this is what here are the comparisons to that firearm. And they're going to show how different it is. They're going to say, like, look how different this is, right? We obviously didn't have a match. So the search continues. Same thing with Ron Logan. They probably were able to get a hold of any 40 caliber firearms he did when they searched, when they did the probation search, right? They're probably even going to show those in court. They're going to show the Weber comparison because he actually had a 40 caliber weapon. They're going to say, look, we compared it to the Weber search. Look how different this is. And the jury's going to be like, damn, yeah, those are nothing alike. All right. Well, are you sitting down? This is what we found in Richard Allen's property. And they're going to show how it matches, almost identical. And this is when the defense is going to come in and say, well, what about the chain of custody? What about, it was planted. You don't have the photos. You don't have this. You don't have that. But I think the jury's only going to remember how much it matched. And in my mind, it better match if they plan to convict this guy. Because this whole conspiracy about planting bullets, and I really don't give a shit if they found the bullet 2 years later. The question is, why would they have Richard Allen's bullet? Why would they plant it there? How did they get into his home and get the bullet? How did they get it cycled through his weapon? All of these crazy implications would have to exist. Let's go to Todd. How could law enforcement frame someone, Richard Allen, before knowing all of the witnesses, statements, timeframes, car security video, car at the CPS building, person walking down 300? Think about it. Well, what if they knew about Richard Allen, planted the bullet, and then put the arrest in their back pocket while they drain resources from the state, right? They drain and drain until they can play the card properly. All right. Well, we need this because now we have an election coming up. So we're going to play the Richard Allen card. I become the new sheriff. We get our conviction and we're good to go. But the thing is, that's a Hollywood movie. We are dealing with reality. And we've seen some cases where, yeah, corrupt cops, people falsely confused, but none of that matches up to what's going on in the Delphi case. In my opinion, right? Yeah, that's crazy, Anthony. If that's true, yeah, that might be some shocking stuff right there. And maybe he did. Okay. I want to go to one more. I think I didn't go to you, Goat Dog. Good to see you. Seems like the prosecution has been withholding information from the start. I don't know if withholding, I think they're trying to figure out how they're going to convict one guy when they have others that they would like to have in custody as well. They're barely holding on to this suspect, like as flimsy as their case is. Now imagine trying to get a secondary person. So they don't get the secondary person unless they get it right with Richard Allen. Because once they get him talking, he's going to be the source of all the rest of the information. Hopefully, right? Beth says, I've heard Richard Allen told a pool playing buddy that was him on the bridge. That is a fact. And he also made a comment on his Facebook, Beth, about how everybody needs to leave him alone. He's come forward and spoken with police. So he was addressing local media who was calling this guy out. And we did a few live streams about that. Like how confusing it must be, right? To know that you're looking at the bridge guy and law enforcement saying, hey, if you have any information on the bridge guy, let us know. But then you know that they've already interviewed the bridge guy. Like, wouldn't that be a mind? Yeah. I don't know what you do with that. Be confusing. Especially if you knew the guy and you're like, there's no way he's a killer. You don't want to believe that shit. And right? And then you have Richard Allen with his mind trick. Little monsters. Right? When he walks, he looks like this little innocent, couldn't harm a fly, but the shadow of him is this wolf, this werewolf, this creature. They really thought it was smart to turn off body. Yeah, dumbasses. Well, you had the one guy who didn't want to looked suspicious, so he left his on and he still tried to hide the drugs like from the camera. Now he's like doing like 20 years in prison. What's up, Kitty? Richard Allen's bullet was found in between the girls or where the girls were at. It's a needle in a haystack, so Richard Allen just walked the trails on a mission and watched stockfish with a loaded gun often. Well, the thing is, even if, let's say the bullet ends up being scientifically proven to be a year older than the crime, so what? What is he doing right there where those girls were found? The same guy who was there during their abduction and the guy who matches the description of the bridge guy, what is his bullet doing right where the girls were found? So that tells a story that this person was going down there to the crime scene, fantasizing about it. That still connects him to the crime scene, whether it was a year before or a year after. The hell's your bullet doing at the crime scene? It's a simple question. What's it doing there? Leggett and Tobe Lesenby planted it there by the guide of Slicknick. Oh, yeah? I mean, good luck proving that. It's ridiculous. Now, if you have some evidence towards that, that's a whole nother story. Let's go to one more comment, and then I got to go. Aw, snap. The Divided Kingdom. The Blokester says Allen is definitely the bridge guy. I mean, I've never seen anybody who came that close. The walk, the way he looks. His wife Kathy's Facebook posts with him wearing that blue jacket. That doesn't make him guilty, but I mean, come on, guys. I'm a busy bloke. Good to see you, man. I saw you the other day and I was like, damn, you're just going to come in here and then leave? So it's good to see you again, man. Let's zip on down here. I'll say we'll do a couple more. Here Comes the Sun 444. The way I see it, law enforcement blundered the case from the beginning. They were churning their wheels on any direction. They lost that tip that Richard Allen gave, and everything fell into place. Kitty, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's a duck. Defense is seeking straw man hard to the extreme. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it. Another shout out to Tom N. and everybody who sponsored today's live stream. Frank Meister, Justice for Abby and Libby, Tom again, BN, Shadow with the Flex, BN with the Flex, Sparky, Phony, Jerry, and Just a Mum is All. Thank you, guys. All right, that is all my time. I apologize if I didn't get to your comments. Feel free to hit up the replay crew comments, and I'll get to you there. Let me know what you think. Catching Kristen, good to see you. Always good to have you. And I'll catch everybody real soon. And all my upgraded members, don't forget, we have a quick little roundtable today at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'll see you guys there, and I'll see the rest of you later. Peace.